And we back. Na 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 na. We got the live going.
This ain't no intro.
It's the entree. Hit the intro with Kanye. So, we're going to talk about the back. We're going to talk about the hips. We're going to talk about your knees. We're going to talk about the bees. We're going to go over everything today. That's actually a lie. It's going to be a very short live. I made a commitment to go live every day, and today was a very late day. Doesn't matter. Unfortunately, I said it. It's already done. So let me pull up this chat so I can see y'all. I think I've worked out most of the technical difficulties. I know it's extremely late for many of y'all, but it's also early for others. Who knows where you're coming in from? Let's keep the music going.
Beyonce, she like music, she from
Houston, Auntie Beyonce. So, it's going to get the live band, isn't it? All right. We're introed in. So, I'll answer some questions. We have a little Q&A. We could chat. Yeah, I'll just get straight into answer stuff. If there's anything on my heart to talk about, we'll get into it. But what's up? I see y'all in here. Straight away, thoughts on lacrosse ball, glute med. Okay, you could. So the idea with trigger release and massage and concept of release in general, there's certain words. Relief, release, reset. You hear all of these terms and they make you feel like if you learn the right technique, you could instantly have a transformation. You could flip the switch and then something kind of lets go and your problem is solved. That's not the case, I'm sure. I hope you understand that. Now, there's not to say there's no value to the techniques of massage, manual work, but there's so many videos focused on how to reset your psoas, how to release it, and it's like, okay, well, why is it guarded in the first place? That's what we should try to really understand. What is a more lasting, sustainable input you could put towards it so that way it doesn't need releasing and resetting? If you put a lacrosse ball to your hip and you're sitting on it, I wouldn't dig in and cram and try to just abuse it all that much unless that's your style. Like you got your nerve in there. You got your sciatic nerve running through that outer hip. You're going to feel the sensitivity if you start cramming on it, and it can definitely aggravate nerve issues. But I think a soft, more stick and hold sort of compression is okay for manual therapy like that. Especially if you're trying to get to the fascia, you can't rub out a knot in the fascia. You can't rub out, from my understanding. If anyone knows better, I'd love to learn. You can't stretch out, you can't grind out, you can't shear, force out adhesions within fascia. Fascia is the connective tissue that's all around your muscles. If you ever cut through chicken breast, it's that white sheath. We have it our whole body. So when there's a injury and inactivity, you get these adhesions that are what we call muscle knots. It's not an actual knot in the muscle, it's the outside connective tissue fascia that gets all improperly laid down. It's not as smooth, it doesn't glide as well, it gets sticky. And so part of the answer is movement, contracting the muscle within the fascia. Part of the answer is slowly gliding and gentle stretch of the fascia just through normal activity in life and movement, maybe some specific nerve gliding, aka fascia gliding. But massage work, sometimes you get a very practiced, seasoned massage therapist, and they can say, oh, I can feel the knots and the adhesions. They're not in that hour actually going to sort out the knot to where it comes undone, because that is biologically grown in that way. It modeled that way. It's not like a mechanical frayed rope that literally you can, your Apple headphones that are in your pocket, and you could just work them out for the next 5 minutes to unball them. That's not how it actually is. You need to put some signal and stimulus to that fascia over the next month, 2-3 months, that it's actually going to remodel in smoothly. One thing that seems to help, from what I've dug into, is constant compression. So a massage where you hold the spot where it's tender and you can tell there's a knot or fascial adhesions, and you hold it for 3 to 4 minutes. with about 60-70% pressure, not abuse, just enough to feel discomfort, and you hold it there for a prolonged time. The goal isn't to make it feel better in an hour. The goal is that with that compression, it signals the release of hyaluronic acid, which is the compound that actually makes up the fascia. It's part of what we have in saliva. And when you have prolonged compression, that's what gets signaled. Now, it just helps that remodeling process. As long as doing movements as well and training very gradually there, you can undo some of the fascial adhesions and knots and micro injuries to that tissue. That is the role I see in things with like a very trigger point massage or a trigger point lacrosse ball and you're working out a spot. If I ever do that, like on my feet, I did some, I would roll for 30 seconds just to feel it, and then I would find the spot and I'd hold it for 3 minutes and just chill, and I'll do that daily. For the goal of over 2 months, it helps the healing process from the inside out. So that's the whole, my current understanding and approach with knotted, tight tissue. Muscle guarding is a different thing. Muscle tightness from inability is a different thing. If a literal muscle is having trouble firing and it's spasming and it's either inhibited and shut down or it feels chronically guarded, well, that's a trainable quality you could work at. But fascia feelings, very superficial. You should probably at this point know the difference. The tightness and aching that comes, that seems like nervous system state, your overall fight or flight, your breath, and then working the modalities we know how to do with fascia. Movement, gentle compression, hydration, definitely important. So, not the fascia guru. Everything I'm talking about, I'm still learning for sure. All right. You did a mobility flow stream a couple days ago. Do you recommend doing that one every day or a couple times a week? I'd probably do it about 2-3 times a week if you'd like. Make sure you regress each thing to where you're currently at, because that flow, 90% of it might be really good for you, and then 10% might super expose something for you. So you need to make sure that all of it is okay to do at that frequency. You may be good doing half of it every day, but some of the exercise would wreck you. So if your hips are sensitive, don't do the outer hip drop set every time. Maybe skip that every other time you do it. When was your last flare-up? My last true flare-up was December 2023. And it was a scary one. I had worse symptoms than when I was even injured, truly. Imagine that. In 2019, herniated disc. I had 2. L4, L5, not so bad. L5, S1, pretty bad. Then I had sciatica for 2 years, and then I had SI joint problems. Really just achy, cranky SI joints all the time. Hips were wrecked, nerve pain all around. Sports hernia, tear my ab wall, caused nerve pain inside, like everywhere. So with all that nerve pain, all that local structural damage, I'm living in that sort of pain for years. And when I tell you, years later, after already being low back ability, and I built my back up to be strong, doing the craziest things you've seen me do, were probably before this flare-up. So I was doing Jefferson curls, hundreds of pounds. I was doing back extension, tons of volume. I was doing deep stretching and deep reaching. All this stuff felt great. And then I flared up. And it was after a month of whatever lifestyle not going great. I was just off a flight for 4 or 5 hours in a hotel traveling. And this is going to sound like a euphemism. It's not, okay? I picked up my ex-girlfriend, like wrestling with her, and rolled up and picked her up. This is not code for nothing. This is all that happened, and roughing around. And like did a sit-up with this girl. I don't date petite women. And so she weighs some extra, and I pick her up. And ting! I'm like, what the fuck? Wait a sec. And then it was a slow progression from that time at like 6 p.m. till midnight, and I was going through hell. And the whole night I didn't sleep. I had the worst sciatica I ever had in my life, like far worse than my original injury. My glute was all locked up. And so what does this sound like to you? If you know you had 2 herniated discs in 2019, and the pain was 6, 7 out of 10. Nah, it was 9 out of 10. I was on the ground originally, but it didn't take over everything. I couldn't walk. It was my back and my leg. But this flare up like hit my soul, and it was worse pain. It was a 9.5, and I literally can't be comfortable no matter what I'm doing. I can't walk at all. It's just like when I originally herniated it. So in my head, like you would assume, fuck, I must have re-herniated it. This is exactly how it felt, even worse. And it was 2 days of literally not being able to walk. Couldn't put my shoes. I couldn't do anything, literally anything. And 3 days later, didn't feel any better. I walked to the gym, and a lot of times for me, I would have to remind myself to take the advice I give people, and it's so interesting to be the guy people talk to in a flare-up. I talk to hundreds of people at sensitive rock bottoms, and I'm so calm and poised because I'm on the other side, and it's so hindsight's 2020. But then I'm going through it myself, and I get reminded how disorienting it is mentally, and I have to literally try to be a third person to myself, a third party to myself, and just remember the things I tell other people. So I'm like, okay, let's go to the gym. Let's hobble in there. Let's very lightly get to the sled and see, can I handle any pace of a slow, light sled? And I hobble around 25 pounds, put it on one side, put it on the other, and I'm barely leaning on it, pushing all the way down. I'm like, I didn't feel that bad. It felt normal bad. Walk backwards. Okay, I can gotta walk backwards. That's okay. Push again. I can open my legs a bit. Okay, let's push more and push more. And then after 5 minutes of that, I stand up and I'm like, I can walk again. What? All right, it's not panic. And I'll go to split squat hold and go down hold. Deep breath, really work diaphragmatic pressure from the inside out, get stability in the split position, out, do some reps, up, down. I'm like, my legs can open up now. I don't feel like scared to move. And then I go to the back extension and do a really high pad iso hold for a minute. And I swear, I'm like, wow, I can use my back. It doesn't even hurt that bad anymore. And by the time I left the gym, I went from a 8 out of 10 to a 2 out of 10 pain. And it was like, whoa, I thought I was really going to have to get surgery or something. It was worse than ever. And then 2 days after that day in the gym, I was doing back extension with literally 90 pounds on my back. Whether that's smart or not, doesn't matter, but I was completely back to how I felt a week before. Fine. And so that was a very useful thing for me to go through. And it was scary as hell because I was already low back ability to the world. So I'm going through all these fears of fraudulency. I'm thinking, damn, have I misled people? Does this not prepare your spine? Did this not protect me all these years of work? It was very just a real human experience. Not to mention just the pain of pain. And it was so worth it because one, it gave me that empathy again on a real visceral level of why I do what I do and where I'm meeting people when they reach out to me. And that was a good reminder. And then two, it actually really made me confident that, yeah, shit isn't perfect. Shit can still happen. But how long does it keep you out the game? And how long does it keep you lost, scrambling, and you don't know what to do about it? That's what changed. So even if I still had a flare-up, it lasted 1/10 of the time, it did 1/10 of the damage, and I knew exactly how to slowly get myself out of it. Not even slowly, pretty fast. I knew how to get myself out of it. That's progress. So since then, I haven't had a true flare-up. That was 2 years ago. I'm due. But it used to be a flare-up every month back in 2020. So yeah, even me, I could get something to happen. But the thing is, it doesn't wreck me. It's not as bad, it doesn't last as long, and it's not as confusing, and that's the goal. Maybe my next flare-up's in 2 years, and it's like a half a day, So it was just eye-opening, though, how bad it could feel. And it just reminded me it's a very delicate highway of nerves all around your back. It's just such a maze of all these tiny tissues that even at a centimeter inflammation and swelling can set off this whole chain reaction. And you can get all these symptoms, you get all this feeling of damage when there actually isn't true damage. And so it's a reminder to not be an alarmist at every sensation. It's such a dichotomy you have to learn to work with of listen to your body, but learn when to think past it. You know, like it's like a child. Listen to your kids, but know when to ignore them, probably. You know, I don't know what that balance is like. I don't got kids. But I think it's the same thing with a nagging chronic pain, or even like, what's the word? Hypochondria. If you're always stressed about every sensation in your body, you think you have a cancer, heart disease, or this, that, because you had a heart palpitation, you had a headache. Yeah, you could pay attention to how you feel, but, you know, listen to your body, but don't let it torment you. You know, you heard it, got it, done, that's it. Take note, make observation, do due diligence, and be grateful and be optimistic that your body is meant to be healthy. Your body is designed to heal. Your body has literal mechanisms that you could get a cut and it'll wound over. Like, we have incredible faculties within us. No need to assume we're going to be doomed. And that's the trick of trauma, injury, chronic loops, is that you start to feel destined to be doomed. And then you become a just freak out alarmist about everything. It makes perfect sense with what you went through. But eventually you got to drop that, you know, and be brave and build up your back and move differently, feel differently. So I'm seeing y'all. Hello. How do you do hamstring exercises if you have sciatica? Just keep at knee flexion right now. Don't do any hip extension. Don't do RDLs. Yeah, you can do a lying ham curl. I'll show the little nuance I've talked about ham curls. All right, so training hamstrings when you have active sciatica and back pain. It's pulling on something that's pulling on your back. Your hamstrings are pulling on the bottom of the pelvis, which is at a tug of war to all the spinal erector tissue. So you got to do it very intentionally. So let me pull up a reel that I did a while back about training hamstrings, specifically hamstring curl, and a little tweak on the machine that can keep you a little bit more protected. It's really for when you're sensitive. You don't have to always train it this way, but I think it's smart during that phase that you're in. It's got to be around this time. All right? Yeah, it's got to be around this time. Where the hell is that thing, huh? A little ham curl video. Where is that? I'm going to share the screen in a second. Here, I'll just share it now. Ain't no way I'm not able to find that. Huh. Yeah, I don't see nothing saying hamstrings, right? Lame. All right. I'll find that as we're chatting real quick, but all right. Next question. Let's go. Should I be doing more QL exercises? I have constant pain only on my right side of the back from L1 to SI joint. Well, I've been on LBA program for the last 9 months, only feeling pain and tightness on the right. Okay. Yeah, you could definitely start doing QL training, but I would go like lateral hip as well, and I wouldn't just start bending sideways on the machine. Okay, this one's a good video. I know I got a video about this right here. Like, I didn't know I could do this. The outside of my glutes feel like they are free. Start from the shoulders and obliques and your lateral core, side bending. And then you go to incline pigeon, stretch everything from the outer core to the outer glute. And then last, where you go right leg over left leg. Be cautious with this last one. Roll your, when I say cautious, you can do it, but try not to get into a crazy reach, like bending down deep for left ankle to the outside. So now you're stretching everything from the side of the ankle to the side of the lower leg. So we're going top to bottom, opening shoulder and core, then here core and glute, then here glute, lower leg, ankle. I don't care what they say about you stretching. They'll never make me not love you. I need more than just, okay. So yeah, train the entire lateral side of the body and gently open it up. What I would say before you do side bending there is I would do suitcase carries. So literally just walk and carry a weight in one side. Got mad. I don't know who that is. Yeah, so just walk. You don't have to walk looking so crazy with your chest out, but nice and tall. Arms straight, elbows straight. I would do that before I would side bend super deep. And then I would also get on the back extension.
You will never get rid of your back pain.
Sideways. I would get on the lateral iso holds. That one I don't think.
My hips became 1 to 2 inches.
Yeah, I do have here. Boom. I would do this. This is also valid for anyone to include. This is training abs, lateral core, transverse abdominis, obliques, but also spinal tissue, some of the low back muscles laterally. So before you go sideways bending like crazy, like I give it at least a couple months. This one can expose some stuff you didn't know you had. So just do the holds. 30 seconds is a tough one on this. 2 minutes is not the goal. 30 seconds is the goal, maybe 45 over time. Just holding that position. You could decide which way to have the feet, and then do the rest in that other video of, yeah, side bending, incline pigeon, you're already doing that, outer hip drop set. One more thing I'd say too, if you only feel one side of your back when you're doing back extension, or you see a bias and preference, there's one tweak you can do which I think really helps people. And is to throw one hand behind the head, right here. First step to a low back rebuild is desensitizing the back with an iso hold, but if you've had injuries, it's usually on one side and you may feel only one side working. So if I only feel my right side working and I want to feel the left, I'm going to lift out my right leg, only use the left, and put the right hand behind. So if you feel tight on one side of the back during the back extension, maybe try to work the other, put the other hand up. So if you put your right hand behind the head, it's going to shorten muscle tissue all along this side, and there's a sling of fascia. There's a line of fascia that goes diagonally. You'll feel it more on your left side of the low back and glute if you put the right hand there. If you're trying to feel your right side more, you would go left. I'm on a single leg iso hold, right? So left leg in the machine, right hand above the head. That's how I feel 70% left side back. So that's helpful too. Okay. Hey Brendan, what do you currently do from the program and at what frequency? I train the LBA flow Monday and Friday, and I have it loaded. So example, today, I did sled, I did a seated tib raise, seated calf raise in the machines. I have a gym that has a seated tib. It's pretty cool. I trained a whole lot of reverse step ups, weighted, like 100 pounds, maybe 85 pounds, 3-4 sets of 20. I don't count the warm up sets. So even for you guys, if I say one set, it's up to you. You could include the warm up, or you could do one body weight set, and then you can include weights, and that'll be your real working set. So I did about 3-4 sets of that, and then I did a full range split squat, and then I did gar hammer raise instead of hip flexor kick out. Rounding my back is fine. So you can go into more traditional both legs at the same time for the hip flexors and abs, and then I did back extension loaded 3 sets of 20 with empty barbell, and then trap 3, lateral iso hold on the machine, and that was it for today. Tuesday, Thursday, I train upper body pretty similar to the add-on essentials. So in LBA we have full body program too, that you can either just fix your back, or you can fix your back and still train upper and lower body, very cautiously though. And so I do chin-ups, push-ups, dips through that. Also added in shoulder press and row. But I follow the same flow basically. Monday, Friday is the LBA flow. Tuesday, Thursday, I do a lot of the mobility stuff and then some upper body. And Wednesday, because I'm really sprinting a lot more, my goal is track. That's what I'm an athlete at. That's when I sprint, and then I do specific hip mobility shit. So I'm like 70% on the same flow, and I just weight it, and I just add weight, and I just make it intense. And so, yeah, that's what my current training is like. Thanks for fixing my back and let me pick up my fat toddler without worrying. From South Korea. Finally, I can send the super chat. Oh, man, that's so incredible. I'm glad you could pick that baby up. Feeding it a lot. I don't know the currency, but you just sent me $299,000. I'm going to go buy a house. I assume the currency exchange can't be that crazy. I truly appreciate it. That's super sweet. I'm glad I could be of help, man. Okay, anybody got questions? We got lots of questions, I know. Should the new pigeon be replaced with the old pigeon on the bench? Good question. You're paying attention. I feel like the one on the floor is way more intense for the glutes and also the quads. The bench pigeon feels a bit different. It definitely is. One is more biased to the rotation of the leg, and then one is more strictly loaded the glute max. Let me show a video of the new one he's talking about. So this is depending what you need. So I'll tell you what my experience has been. So
If you don't train your back,
I only started doing this pigeon variation because I was going on tour, on the LBA workshop tour, and we were going to train 1,000 people on the road for all these workshop events, and we weren't going to have 50 or 100 adjustable benches at the workshop, so we couldn't have everyone do incline pigeon. But I wanted to show them the hip mobility and loaded stretching of the outer hip. So I literally came up with this. I think I created it. Of course, nothing is new under the sun. But I was trying to find a way, where do you put the glute in stretch, and then how do you hold it to make it a strength stretch challenge? So I coined it the pigeon strength, and basically
a really interesting one.
Normal pigeon position.
Strength. We're going to be in the pigeon position, and the way it turns into strength is you just lift up the back knee and then hold. So it's basically all the weight on the glute, but you're up here. It's more than y'all signed up for. Sorry. Hold.
So I started doing it on the tour, and then I pretty much trained it nonstop for the last, I guess, 2-3 months now, since we started on the tour. And I definitely got stronger. I want to find a different angle side view so you can see. I think
The only rules we have is 3. super important.
Make sure you go to a workshop next year too. We're having another tour with 25 cities this time. Okay, so first I would have them train
That is-
squeeze, outer hip drop set,
We're gonna first do
as we do, and then here's the pigeon. Y'all should try this if you haven't done it. Boy, is it fun.
I don't know if this has been a thing or not, but I started doing it with the back leg off the ground, or at least the back knee off the ground, and when you lift,
So, by taking the back knee off the ground, most of your weight is on that front glute, and then you hold for time. And when you do 1 minute here, it doesn't even feel like a stretch. It is stretching, maybe for most people, like 70% of range. It's not feeling like an intense stretch when you go to touch your toes and it's sharp and It's more like I'm in there in a stretch, but I'm holding it for so long that it's burning like molten lava. And it's that concept of strength through length and loaded stretching. So I did this variation only for about 3 months, and I didn't do the bench pigeon, which is what's traditionally in the program. And you still are supposed to kind of do a similar thing. You're supposed to hold yourself up and make it active, you know? Incline pigeon by the big goat, right? You hold here, you put the pigeon there. Now, what's the difference from this to this? Mainly, how much is the hip rotated? I'm almost sitting on the heel of my foot. You can't really see that. But if I were as rotated as he is here on this bench, my foot would be visible. It'd be like right here. My foot would be all the way rotated. So the same way we train outer hip drop set, because it hits different emphasis of different specific muscles in the outer hip. It's a group of muscles, but some do more rotation, some do more abduction. Well, when we're stretching, sometimes you want to stretch those deep rotators like this. The leg is rotated more, so you're training some of the more rotation assisting muscles in the glute. Sometimes you want to get the bigger muscles like this, which is the glute max. And so, yeah, I would do both. I would plug and play with what you feel good about. I think if you only do this, it's pretty intense and could maybe even get irritating. This is good, but you don't ever get as deep of a stretch on some of the, probably glute min and piriformis, but you do hit a lot of the outer, bigger glute muscles.
you can
So you would hold this for a
start
minute.
here. Many of us will be hands on the ground of that one.
So look what it's like for people trying it the first time.
Ground, back knees off the ground. I like the top of the back foot.
People are dying. You can't hear it or tell.
You can try two. What's your right dose? No hands, it's a strict hinge. Lean forward a little bit. No. There you go. 3, 2, 1. That's good.
Ah,
Nice.
Everyone's like,
Tough on the
ah.
stretch, but 1. That's good.
Look at the face.
Nice.
Yeah, it's tough. You can't really tell. The mic is on me, so you can't hear them. But that's a good one. Outer hip. Oh, almost stopped the stream. No, don't stop the stream. I meant to share. Swap between those variations. How is Dax doing? Dax is good. Y'all don't know how much Dax has actually gone out of his way to try to help my business for no reason other than he had a bad back. He's probably one of the most intellectual people I know in my life, calculated to a T. And he had scoured the internet fully, top to bottom, about all the resources of chronic back pain. He had back pain for over a decade, was a serious basketball athlete, set records in college. You can look it up. And he was super smart, and he could just tell, like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. Everything I've been told is not leading me anywhere. So when he found my content, he was like, bro, I think you're about to just, like, blow the fuck up. Huge. This was a year and a half ago. I was half the size. And he was just like, hey, man, I'll do whatever to have you help me out. And I just know you're God sent, and I think you're about to actually change the world. And I was like, oh wow, that's nice, thanks. I mean, I knew it, but it's not usually that other people can understand. But then he just took a real big mentorship to help me just like stay grounded and stay focused and to take myself serious on reaching a next level. Just on some real human shit of trying to grow. And I went on tour with him to help fix his back and met hella people. He would put me on to tons of people to just try to spread the word. And then I came to LA for the first time in my life just to help him with his back. And that's how I actually moved here. I was just training him, and I was like, I actually like it out here. I should probably leave New York. And so, yeah, weird full circle. Someone that just comes around and wants to help you out because they see what you're doing, and they're such a genuine person, and they're smart enough with wisdom to see how special what you're doing is. And he just, like, ever since became a big mentor. And every time he's in town, he wants to film. He's trying to spread the word. He's on his shows telling people left and right. Like, he understands how important this is. So that's why I put him in the videos. And he just, like, really, really fucks with the movement and the mission. And just like you guys. And so if you go through chronic back pain, you will grow to appreciate truth when it's spoken. And I'm not saying that I'm the smartest guy and have everything figured out. I'm just one of y'all. I've really been through it. And so, of course, it resonates when I speak. So, yeah, he's doing good. That's the backstory of why he's how he came around. Super cool. See a couple other questions now. Y'all got any more questions? Write it out if I didn't get to yet. I've progressed my elephant walk to almost fingers touching ground. That's awesome. But my left side is noticeably tighter. Also, my hip on left side seems more tilted upward. Well, that's the thing. Maybe it's not a tighter side, just maybe your pelvis is imbalanced. So for you to get both fingertips on the ground, you would actually be going deeper on your left side, because the left side of your pelvis is higher. So for you to get the same reach downwards, you would have to go extra. So work at the hip. Take that clue. That's a very good connection you made. And instead of trying to just go deeper into the hamstring stretch to pretend that you're leveling that out fully, make sure you're approaching the lateral pelvic issue for what it is. I kind of showed some of this video already, but if you haven't seen this reel, I think it's useful. If you really want full explanations, I have a second page I started for the tour footage, and you can watch the full some of them are shorter, 2 to 3 hour workshop footage. Pulling the toes up as high as you can. Where I explain almost every question you could have about anything with lateral pelvic tilt, recovering from disc herniation, sciatica, sensitivity, imbalances from the toes to the back. We cover every exercise in depth, and one of the things is lateral imbalances. We had a big segment on that, but I'll show you a 60-second reel instead. So if you know there's a lateral difference, my hips became 1 to 2 inches higher on one side, so everything I did, including squatting, was off balance. This led to actual hip impingement. My hips were like socket anytime I would start to squat deep. So just like you, when you reach differently, you feel there's an imbalance. Well, because your hips are already out of whack. For me, my hips were so when I squat, they'd be like that. So then some side, for me to still get as deep on both sides, I would have to go extra on one to make it look like good form, and that would lead to impingement and a faulty range I didn't really have, and I started to stab my hip up deep in the socket. After about 3 months of that during an ab exercise, I got a sports hernia, which made it impossible to stretch even an inch in this direction. The only thing that undid this lineage of injury for me was going exactly where I caused pain and scaled it back to a level that was infallible. Let's look at this picture. It's very interesting. I always loved this picture because it showed how related, how muscles can work at the same bone and joint, and they're at this tug of war effect. and how you may think you have a tighter QL side, but maybe it's the anchor below that's tighter. So for example, the glute medius, one of the outer hip muscles, many muscles attached to this pelvic bone, but at the iliac crest of the pelvis, that's the top ridge of this bone, you have the glute medius, which goes all the way up to the ridge of the bone, and then directly on the other side, you can see the QL muscles, which connect from the ridges of the spine, the vertebrae, to the iliac crest. So you have the meeting point in the middle, the pelvis, and the pelvis getting pulled up this way, laterally through the QL, very deep, very big, strong muscle, and then the glute is pulling the pelvis the other way from the same ridge. It's like a millimeter away, a few centimeters away. And so you got the QLs pulling the pelvis this way, and you got the glute med, some of the outer hip muscles pulling it this way, and it's in a tug of war. And now, both of these things get messed up when you get a lateral hip shift. That's why I like this picture as well. You could imagine whether or not the muscle imbalance caused the shift, or it was a disc injury, or a gait movement problem, or a sport imbalance. You were a baseball player and did thousands of swings, or golf. You rotated for your whole life doing a sport one way but not the other. You may get twisted up for whatever reason. Chicken or egg, either way, you're probably going to have an imbalance where one side of the QL is far weaker and far more sensitive. The other side may be more relaxed or more controlled and able to contract. So you may have to do the lateral iso holds and just do that training on the back extension, like I show in this video. Let's start here, side bending. Try to open it up and then do this, the lateral hold, and just to try to work at that imbalance that may have happened. This is to try to get to the hip problem. Because again, this whole video was about my hip impingement, sports hernia. The imbalance led to those things. You got to try to work at everything that is connected to what you visibly see as the issue. You visibly see the right side of your pelvis is here, the left side is here. So all things connected directly, QL, outer hip, that's the most obvious immediate. You also have hip flexors, you have the hamstrings, you also have tons of spinal erector tissue. But the most direct ones you can imagine help controlling where is your resting position yet at the pelvis. Outer glute, outer core, outer spine. And so you should be doing this as well. Hips became 1 to 2 inches higher on one side, so everything I did, including squatting, was off balance. This led to actual hip impingement in my sports hernia that undid this in scale. So outer core, here, you get to bending, then work the outer glute. This is also for my hip impingement. You should also do this. If you're in the program, you are doing this. Just to recap. That's my song, by the way. Y'all don't know that, but I make music, and I sometimes sneak it in, a little Easter egg, unreleased. But the point of this, take the 360 approach. The core is a 360. You got the ab wall, you got the spinal erector tissue, you got all the deep spine stuff, you got the outer core lateral. So go the 360, front, sides, back, go below to the hips, front of the hips, outside of the hips, outer core, outer hip, back side of the hips. You could say back extension iso hold. You could do reps. You could do single leg reverse hyper. The inside of the hips, deep groin, adductor. Take the 360 approach here and then below at the hips and see what that does for your imbalances. That may not be all you need to work on, but it is a big check box to tick off. So. The link to the other channel is LB Eclipse. It's LB Eclipse. How many days a week should we do the Cadorziani flow? You could do most of that daily, honestly. Are you really only on the big toe or also the other toes? No, you're probably getting some of the other toes, but mainly focus on the big. But nah, definitely on the second, third toe. Good questions. Pass Deg Formentin. I hear you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I see you. At 6'4", which bench to look at that will fit? Chronic daily pain. Got to do something. Can't take this pain anymore, man. Migraines, puking, no sleep, painkillers weekly. Whew. He's in it. 6'4". I would probably the most sturdy, most reliable, tested back extension that I have loved over long times. I've reached out to them. They had no interest in reaching back out to me for any kind of promo or nothing. I was selling so many for them. I just wanted them to like know, but it's still good and pretty cheap. The Valor back extension. This is my favorite to this day for just a back extension. Something about the padding, where they have the ankle plate. It's really light and easy to move around. It's probably like 20 pounds, or 30 pounds, but it's so stable. And the foot pad's great. Yeah, it'll work for you tall. You can go really heavy on it and it won't tip or break. Yeah, I've owned a number of these over the years. The Nordbench one is great too. You got to set it up. Comes semi pre-assembled. It's a little bit heavier, but it has a ton of added features which are really cool. It's a slant board on there. It adjusts. You can do Nordics on it. So that's cool. But if you're really just invested in the back extension and you want cheapest bang for buck, this one's probably the cheapest for an incredible value. And it's on is that a real sale or one of those fake sales? I don't know. That's actually, I think, cheaper than normal. So yeah, the Valor one is good. What's your opinion on postural restoration therapy? I have imbalances, but won't that be cured by just doing LBA? Only you're going to find out. I'm not actually extremely sure about PRI. Let's look into it together. I've heard lots about it. Okay. What the hell?
Start on your side, place a yoga block or a bolster between your feet, place a ball between
I'm not a fan.
your knees, and here I'm supporting my head with my forearm, but feel free to use a pillow. Tuck your tailbone, get your ribs back, and pull your top leg and hip back so that your knee is shorter than the bottom knee, then push it forward. So you're pulling back, pushing it forward, getting your hips to shift back and forth. You must keep your neck relaxed.
Of course, I'm just watching one random video by a random guy. I don't know if they have a methodology like start to finish, if they have long-term goals and progressions and things that you build up to. I'm assuming it's not just a bunch of drills like this.
Tuck your tailbone under for a neutral spine. You're then going to slightly shift your right knee towards the ceiling. Dig your left heel down to raise your right arm overhead. And as you
She didn't say Simon Says. She almost got
exhale into the balloon, contract your left ribs down with a
What the fuck is happening here? She got a balloon. She got a fucking balloon out of nowhere.
obliques. Feel
Oh,
those obliques
shit.
engage. At the end of your exhale, hold that breath for 5 seconds if you can, blowing all that air out. We're then going to inhale through your nose, inhaling into your right lung, your right chest.
Your right lung. Just breathe into the right lung. That's it. Don't hit the left.
Think about that. Take a big inhale as you can. Exhale again, pulling those left obliques down. Repeat 2 sets of 5.
Hey, I'm teasing, obviously. There might be some magic to this shit. I just wasn't ready for this. This is crazy. Like, I wasn't ready for the layout of this exercise. But I will give it, doesn't need my fucking cosign. They've been around a lot longer than I, and probably more integrated. And there's probably some really good learning aspect to this, of when things have gone dormant for so long, and things have been hiding, and you form compensations to such a degree your normal is now shifted, and you get this weird equilibrium. You just can't mind muscle connection your way out of it, it seems like. Well, sometimes these little cues do help. Like I say on the back extension, if you go single leg, put your right hand up, you feel the left side more. That's just basic versions of what the hell we just saw with that. And maybe they got it down to a T where it's like, you have issue firing here, I can move every limb in the exact position. You do a diaphragmatic breath, increase the pressure, and boom, you have to feel it. So I would never knock something without actually trying it. But my general thought process, just my opinion, is it's easier to buy in and stick with if there's a seemingly feasible route of progression and it leads to something, or there's like there's a goal within this. Okay, I know she didn't really mean breathe into her right lung, but like try to expand the right side of the rib cage more, some kind of proprioceptive cue there. Whatever's trying to expand and feel is good. Now, how do you take it into movement? Or maybe do they believe you just do those drills and then your normal walking and existing in life then becomes natural? I don't know. So I can't trash it, but I also can't vouch. I'm pretty ignorant. I've heard about it plenty. And so, good intro. This is a cool one. This, damn, I shouldn't have laughed. It seems so disrespectful, but
Tuck your tailbone
just
under.
pulled a fucking balloon out of nowhere. Okay.
Place the bolster between your left hip and the wall. From here, side bend to the left so that your left shoulder is lower than your right. You should feel your left abdominals or obliques engage. From here, attempt to lift the right heel off the floor. Once you get the right heel off the floor, you should feel the left leg muscles, the thigh and the hamstring engage. From here, breathe in through your nose, exhale through your mouth, and perform about 4 to 5 breaths.
Okay, so back to the original question. Here's a good video I should probably watch on my own time. Well, it's 3 minutes.
Scribe is how you stop explaining the same thing over and over at work. Watch this. It'll change your life.
I explain the same thing every day of my fucking life. I'm
The
sorry.
human body is asymmetrical. How our organs are placed on the insides, the function of our brain, the structure of our brain, and our movement patterns are all asymmetrical. And this is completely normal. However, there are times where our natural asymmetry becomes too extreme. So our perfect asymmetry that allows us to move as we do becomes imperfect asymmetry. And that's where things can start to go wrong. So we have a right side of the body and a left side of the body, and they're not the same. They're never going to really move in the exact same way. And again, this is because of how we are structured on the inside.
It's not a long video.
When we lose the ability to alternate efficiently, go from left foot to right foot, left foot to right foot, that is when we start to feel pain in our body. Not always, but this is a very common occurrence. We're talking about pain that is not due to disease, sickness, arthritis, or an acute injury. This is the type of pain that just kind of comes out of nowhere. The reason this occurs is because when you're not alternating, you're pretty much stuck on one side of your body, and it turns out that it's generally the right side of our body. We're too right-sided. And again,
Interesting.
humans are inherently biased to the right side of our body, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. And again, it comes down to the structure and organization of our body. When you become too right-sided and you can no longer get to the left efficiently, it means you've lost range of motion. You've lost range of motion in the pelvis, in the rib cage, and quite often in the neck. And that will cause certain chains of muscles to be overactive and often tight. So there's a lot of tension in certain areas of your body. And other areas of the body to be weaker, be constantly stretched out. Those muscles are not activating properly. And your joints will have limited range of motion. And this is all very predictable because we have tests that show this. And the tests are very, very predictable. These are just patterns. Patterns
Okay.
of movement and then patterns of restriction. So PRI works
Nope.
by retraining, repositioning structures, base of the pelvis, the rib cage, and the neck, through your own power, your own breathing, to your own muscles. The PRI therapist rarely does not actually do anything with their own hands. We teach you to reposition your own structures. And all the exercises are devoted to restoring alternating function from the left side and the right side.
Okay, I think I
So
understand
that
now.
you can walk and breathe without compensation. And when you do that, a lot of the pains that have built up over the years due to restricted movements, overly active muscles, or trying to get range of motion where none can be found, and so you stretch out structures that shouldn't stretch, such as ligaments, and you develop now weaknesses in a hip. A lot of that type of pain will dissipate or go.
I think you got nothing to lose by trying it. And a lot of the phenomena he's talking about is definitely true. I like the description of being able to alternate, and that makes intuitive sense. I need more to be sold on the long-term implementation of that, or is it not meant for that? Maybe it's just meant as a short-term kickstart to get you out of some serious wacky imbalance, and then that might help you with everything else you go do. So yeah, I just still don't know enough of like what the goal is, but I don't think that stuff would hurt. What I will say is, ain't no way in hell you could frame that as all you need. I'm not saying that's what he even said, but like for protection and rebuilding a resistance to going back into that imbalance, because it falls under the mentality of reset. And like we said earlier, of relief, release, reset. All those things have re in it. And re is Latin for, I'm completely kidding, I don't fucking know the word origins of re. But when I hear re's, it's returning. Another one, right? You're returning it back to what it was. And so it's a short-term correction. And that in and of itself has value, but it's not, for me, like the sustainable end game of how you fix things. It's more like you can go refill that shitty tire 10 times a week in the car because it keeps deflating. You could reset the tire, but eventually you might just want to like change something for real and structurally transform it. That's a terrible analogy. But yeah, I think I kind of want to try some of it so I can understand when people are asking about it, but I also I don't know where to start. There's a lot of random stuff in there. Interesting. If anyone has experience with it, let us know. I'm not shitting on people. I'm not a hater. So we understand. If I laugh at stuff, if I react to stuff, I'm honest, but innately, I'm not righteous and better. I'm not a hater. It's not in my heart to be like that. That shit was hilarious. Breathing, right. I think that's critical too. I think it's a super overlooked element. In almost every exercise that you try to get into a deep stretch involving the hips and core, just by adding in a very deep breath, you increase the stretch a ton, and you introduce a different demand of stability and calmness within your spine. So one from a nervous system standpoint, but also just from the pressure you create. And I think getting aware of your breath, is it shallow? Is it intentional and deep? Can you actually control your breath in more vulnerable positions? If you're in a split squat hold and your legs are really opened up, do you ever actually take a deep breath and stretch even more of the pelvic floor when you're in there? That's a ton for you. They gave you a bag of balloons. Hey, honestly, maybe not a bad teaching tool. People probably make live stream videos laughing at me. So it's just because I'm ignorant. It's all good. Doesn't strengthening your muscles pull the skeleton into the correct position? Yeah, that is the thought. That is the goal. Is it that simple? Not always, but can it be? Sometimes I think so. I have for sure felt the difference. It's tough, right? So like if I train the right things and I open up the right things, I felt like my posture got so much better from 2021 to 2024. And then I really started locking in to just like obsessing about work, and I'm starting to go, because I'm zoned. Yeah. Then I get up and I move and I'm like, okay, that doesn't feel good for anybody, no matter what training you do. I'm training 8 hours a day to be shaped like a shrimp, like a software engineer, and then I train 1 hour a day to undo that. And it's like, okay. So even if you do the right training, there's lifestyle things. And then that doesn't guarantee pain, but it's not helping the case. You could get ergonomic with it. You could be more intentional. Work on the floor, work standing desk, do all these things. It's probably a great idea. I'll find my balance of life of how I do that. But I had for sure felt improvements in my posture by training all the areas that were deeply undertrained and were responsible for posture, at least more directly, like with the shoulder hunching and feeling strain, training trap 3 raise and the low traps to be really strong. That helped a ton. It for sure did. So will LBA work if you had lower back surgery, L5S1? Someone give him the answer. We've had many. Of course, if you have a spine, LBA can help you. Now, if your goal is to just get out of pain quickly, or it depends what your goal is. Do you want a better spine? That's what LBA is about. Oh, we got somebody's vouches for it. PRI is amazing. Thousands of dollars of courses. That's a lot of money. No problem. If it worked, the work is profound. Made a difference. When the difference didn't stick, it was able to diagnose the issues that were underlying. Cranial issues, tongue tie. Life-changing. That's huge. Tongue tie release. Share the word. Tell people. Oh, comment below. I did it. It's BS. Didn't work. I get more relief from LBA just putting strengthening. So this is reality, though. Please understand. There's people out there on Reddit forums saying LBA is full of shit. It's just like, as long as the person you're learning from is very sure of what they teach and why, to the scope of where they could possibly know, and then they're honest about what's beyond that, and they're curious to learn and integrate and be helpful. So that's the thing with me. It's like, I picked the most obvious problem to solve. Hey, the back is avoided and well undertrained and underexposed to controlled forces. That's the biggest opportunity we have to stop the breakdown. I'll argue that in court. It's the biggest opportunity. Does it fix everything? Not the point, not the goal. No, of course it can't fix every nature of every single thing. We're multifaceted, complex creatures. Lots of functions all at once. But it is probably the biggest insurance you could have. It's the same thing of what can cause a heart attack. You could have a heart episode and die from a toxin. You could swim in the wrong water, get a heart attack. You could be out and breathe the wrong kind of air, get a heart attack. You could eat some food you shouldn't eat, get a heart attack. The most obvious, well agreed upon prevention is steady cardiac training, cardiovascular aerobic training, probably a good idea. Exercise. So it's like, to me, it feels like the 1300s when someone discovered, hey, you should exercise and it helps the longevity and health of your heart. I feel like that for the spine. Hey, you should exercise your spine and it'll help with the prevention and protection of your spine. That doesn't mean there's not all these other things that can help treat, prevent, all the things we could try to do around the heart or the spine. Just my argument is we're not even doing the most evergreen opportunity we got. So I'm never trying to bash these other things, and I'm never trying to seem like there's nothing to learn. It's just, you can see within one comment section, someone would be like, changed my life. It was a game changer for everything. And then you'll see, bullshit, it didn't work for me. And both of them are right for the experience for them. You can even learn from things that didn't work for me, I'll argue. But, you know, people say the same thing about LBA. And I guess my cop-out is LBA's goal isn't pain-free. LBA's goal is improving your spine. And when you improve the underlying fundamentals of your spine, that's just strength, firing capacity, circulation, that helps other things. Everything does better. There's no way you do worse with that unless you overdo it and you're truly abusing yourself. Pain and symptoms follow structure, reality, nervous system, the integration of nerves. And so sometimes you can get better but not feel better for a while. It's also a thing. But anyways, just keep learning is what I'm trying to say. Make sure your spine isn't weak. Make sure you train it. Make sure you're working on the hips. Make sure you work on the big things that I talk about. And if that does it for you, that's incredible. If that made you feel better, but there's still something going on, keep learning. That's fine. Hey, I just joined the program this week, and the live stream a minute ago are the live streams scheduled. They're not scheduled, but they will be. I know it's super late for some of y'all. I was running late today, but probably going to aim for like 7 p.m. EST. All right, y'all. Speaking of which, it is late. But I love hanging out with y'all, and I read a lot of these comments. I didn't know I answered everyone. Yeah, it's cool just hang out in here and look at things together and just chat for a while. You know, you don't know what you might learn through any of the shit I show or the comments of other people's experience, and that's what I want to show. Open up my community to y'all if you want to have these convos and be in some bigger than you process with other people that are all trying to fix their back. We got the low back ability program, and it's pay what you want. No contract, no big cost to it. Hang out there every day with them, and we train the program. We chat on Zoom calls and get to go in depth about it, and just keep learning from each other. And so, yeah, I appreciate hanging out with y'all here on the live. I'll be back tomorrow. Anything else y'all need before I run out? Back extension iso holds hurt the back of your knees. Put the pad higher for a long while. Keep the two-legged. Don't do single leg for a while. And make sure you're training hamstring curls. Nice and light. Alrighty, y'all. Play the long game. Peace.